Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Wisconsin Fishing. I'm Nate, and today I'm going to go over my soft plastics. If you watched Kyle's video about topwaters, cranks, and spinnerbaits, I think it was, he went over some of those harder baits. He likes fishing harder baits. I like fishing soft baits, preferably. I have a lot, and I'm just going to give you an overview of what I have set up here, and then we'll get right into the baits. So, first, foremost, we got worms. I kind of see some of them there. I only have three because those are really only main three that I use. But as you can see when I bring up my creatures, I have a lot of them. I really like fishing creature baits and craws. It's just what I got faith in and what I've caught most of my big fish with. So, without further ado, let's get into the worms first because I'll go over those. So first off, we got a curly tail worm. This is a Zoom, I don't know what it's called. It's some Zoom worm. It's in green pumpkin chartreuse. It's got a really faint chartreuse tail. You probably can't even see it. But it's like 7 inches. It's got a really small body. So if you want to, you can like break it off. And then you have like a little 3-inch drop shot worm, you know. But it's got this really big curly tail. And it does disperse a lot of water. But I really don't like to fish curly tail worms. I don't like to fish deep water. But I sometimes throw these in shallow water. But I'm not going to talk too much about them because I don't really fish them a ton. So let's get into the next one. This is a drop shot worm. This is a Zoom finesse worm in green pumpkin. This worm is really, when it's a tough bite and you're trying to catch, those finicky fish, this is great on a little wacky rig or a drop shot. Or even a little jig head or small shaky head. But usually I fish this on a small wacky worm or a drop shot. Mainly a drop shot because it's a little small and hard to cast on a wacky rig. But it's a Zoom finesse worm in green pumpkin again. Very versatile bait. And then my favorite worm out of all is a Senko. I have caught so many fish with this. I caught my personal best with this. And this one is the Callan's Bait Wacko worm. These things are great. I love these because they have 10 times the salt of any other stick bait. And you'll be like, well, that's what every package says. Yeah, some of them do. But this one actually lives up to the potential, because this one is super heavy. If you pick up this worm and you pick up any other worm with it, you'll see that this thing's heavier. It's full of salt. This thing will sink a lot faster than your other ones will, which can trigger more bites. And you can fish it slower if you want to, but it does have a nice shimmy as it falls. This one's in green pumpkin red pearl. It's got like a white belly and a green pumpkin and a watermelon top. Watermelon red pearl. Anyways, back to the worm. And they shimmy down in such a they shimmy down like this because they're heavier. The tails kind of curve up like this as it's shimmying. But what a lot of other ones do is they just lay flat like this and they just shimmy like that. This one, if you have it on a wacky rig, it'll shimmy like this all the way down to the bottom. And then you twitch it and it'll go doom doom, and it'll do the same thing, go down like this. Now, if you fish this on a Texas rig, which I like to do when I skip docks, the head will fall like this, and the tail will curve up kind of like that, and it'll fall like that right in their face, and they will just destroy it. So that's my favorite worm, right there. Any Senko type worm. Now let's get into the plastics. First I'll go over the craws, and then I'll work my way towards creatures. I have 3 main craws that I like to use. This is a Berkley Havoc Rocket Craw in green pumpkin. I like green pumpkin. It's probably my confidence color. Now, what makes this craw better than any other is it's got these, like, it's not my favorite craw, but it's good in certain occasions. If I'm by rocks, I will fish this because it's small, and a smallmouth will eat it. We have a lot of smallmouth here in Wisconsin. A nice smallmouth will eat that. Even a little one will. You just fish on a jig head or even like an 1/8 ounce Texas rig will work. But it's got these 2 little tentacles here that just drive them crazy. And then if you look at these claws, you see how there's a bunch of plastic right there. I'll try to turn sideways and see if you can see it. It's hard to see, but you can see how it bunches up right there. There you go, I can see it. At the end. And they flap like crazy, and it's got this big head on it, which is great. Like I said, I usually fish it on a small Texas rig, sometimes a jig trailer, but I fish on a jig trailer, I pinch off these 2 tentacles, so then your presentation looks, here, I'll pull this claw forward, looks like that. Slow craw. But if the smallmouth are finicky, I'll even pinch those off, because they really like this, either on a jig head or a small Texas rig. My next craw is probably my second favorite craw. is Berkley Chicken Craw. Now, if you look at all my stuff, you'll see a lot of it is Berkley. I have a lot of faith in Berkley. I mean, they've caught probably most fish for me. Everything. I mean, I've used all their stuff. Everything that I bought from them and fish, I've caught fish on. So shout out to Berkley. You make great baits. Keep it up. I will keep buying them. So this is a watermelon pepper color. This is the perfect color craw for where I fish. It's like that translucent on the claws, and you can still see those black flecks. So anyways, I like to fish this on the back of a jig or on a Texas rig. Like I said, it works really well on a Texas rig because you can either keep these, when I'm bed fishing, I like to keep them together because when it's sitting on the bottom like this, they'll stick straight up in the air like that. And it'll drive them crazy. But when I'm just regular Texas rigging, you pull them apart, which I want to pull them apart because it keeps them nice and they're together. You pull them apart, and they'll actually swim. As you hop it, and it'll just swim down. And then when it's on the bottom, they'll like spread out like this, and they destroy it. I fish on like either a 2 or 3 aught EWG. I like extra wide gap, better hookups, and a 1/8 to a 3/16 ounce weight. Berkley Chicken Craw. That's power bait chicken craw. Next one, my favorite craw is a net bait packer craw because it's so versatile and it's got those nice paddle tails. But there is times, I will admit, there's times where you won't catch them on this, and you'll catch them on either the Rocket Craw or the Chicken Craw, those Berkley products. That just the scent on those baits just sometimes drives them crazy. This one, it really doesn't have any scent to it. But these two, the Chicken Craw and the Rocket Craw, do. But still, this one will sometimes outperform it because it's got this air pocket in the head, and it'll stand up like this, and these claws will float up like this, just like that, and they'll just destroy it. This is an Alabama craw. It's got like orange on the bottom, a craw color on the top. It's a really nice craw color. I mean, it's got a flat bottom too, so you can skip it really well. But it's got these big, nice claws on it, and I really like those claws. They really get a lot of action. Solid head, and the air pocket actually runs all the way up here, and it's got the solid head right there. I don't know if you can hear that or not. You can hear all those air pockets in there that will just cause this bait to float up. And if you're not getting even enough float on it, take a little piece like a pool noodle and shove it in that little hole there. Oh, you can see that. In that hole. And then it'll float up even more than it did before. So this is a great, great craw. Highly recommend you pick it up. Now getting into creature baits. Three more Berkley products are what's left on my board. I have all Berkley products except for one thing on there, and that just proves their baits are awesome. This is the Ike's Devil Spear. This thing, I am so disappointed they discontinued this from like my stores around here. I have to order on Tackle Warehouse. Totally worth it. I caught a 4-pounder flipping with this in a pond that I didn't even think had a fish that big in. So I mean, it really performs, and like you can fish it like a swim bait, but it really excels punching punching like mats or fishing it around wood. It's got that riveted tail that just gets so much action, and it's so versatile. And it's got this nice body that'll just slip through anything. Great. This is in green, watermelon, orange, green fleck. You can see the orange and green fleck. Great, great go-to punching bait. This is my favorite plastic by far. Skeet Reese, you're awesome. The Skeet Reese Pit Boss. I love this thing. This bait has caught me so many fish. I will go wherever it takes. Wherever I go, I bring this with, and I always catch fish on it. It's in big Texan color, orange on the bottom, and the craw color. They destroy this thing. I don't know what it is about it. They just destroy it. These outer two tentacles will paddle, and these in ones will undulate. And when they hit the ground, they just all spread out. I was fishing this summer, and I had a craw on. Right when I switched to this, second cast, caught a 3-pounder. So, I mean, it's just a great bait. Words can't describe how good it is. You got to buy some and just get out and fish them. They're that good. My last bait, Berkley Havoc Grass Pig. This thing, we went up to Eagle River, Wisconsin, and we usually don't catch a lot of bass there. I throw this bad boy on, and bang, I'm catching one after another, after another, after another. Because they don't see something like this. By the way, it's in swamp gas color. It's like tan and then white on the bottom. They don't see anything like this, really, a lot. And it'll just paddle, and it'll wobble. And it drives them crazy. You fish on the back of chatterbait, spinnerbait, or just on a Texas rig, or a weighted swim bait hook. That's the best way I like to fish these. Go pick them up. Thank you for watching our video. Stay tuned for more that will be coming out soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Wisconsin Fishing. Catch you later.